Perfect. Let's get started. So first things first is what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with, like, last week we went into why keto, and why we're wanting to do ketosis and the fuel benefits and the energy benefits. Today I'm going to go more into like why other diets don't work and why that would mean the keto diet wouldn't work for you as well. So a lot of things that people get wrong, a lot of things that people are eating or consuming that hurts them in the long run. And then they get off the bandwagon and they're like, nothing works. I've tried everything. And then after that, and so yes, it might be a little bit boring, but just stick with me, because then after that, we're going to be going into the monitor on how to record our blood glucose. And where's my keto sticks? And our keto sticks. I just peed on my keto sticks just a little while ago, and I was at the midpoint. I was at a 4.0 or a 4, whatever your keto sticks would say, for ketones. So I'm like, I think that's good. I'm pretty happy about that. But first, before we go get into everything, Megan, how was your week? How did everything go with you eating keto? Any like downfalls or anything that you like felt? I know you've been in keto for a long time though, so.
Yeah, I mean, not really significantly. I've been doing the detox, pretty by the book from what we had discussed. And I can tell, I can tell a detox. Whenever you're detoxing, like, you're getting rid of all the kind of extra crap and things like that whenever you're being a little bit more restrictive. So, I mean, your body definitely goes through changes. You feel, like you're cleansing and things like that. So I definitely was on board with all that stuff.
Awesome. Perfect.
Yeah.
Did you get sick of guacamole after a while?
I'll never get sick of guacamole. I can eat avocado, anything every day and be happy. So
that's awesome. I know. Yeah. I love guacamole, but I had so much. I was like, today I was like, no, I don't want any more guacamole.
No.
Rosie, yeah. How did your cleanse go? Rosie, we can't hear you. Wait, did I mute you, Rosie? Or Rosie, I think you, hold on, I'm going to unmute you on my end. I didn't mute you though.
I just mute you, but I mute myself. But I didn't know we had to do the cleanse.
No worries. You're going to start the keto with starting tomorrow. It might be beneficial to go back into that first webinar and kind of watch like maybe some good keto resources, keto cookbooks, and other things like that that I went over in depth last webinar. Okay. So, but hey, jump on the bandwagon now. You get to do 3 weeks of it. All right. So this is good. All right. So let's get started. I just want to talk about my experience with this cleanse so far. Day 2 is when I was like, had this huge energy slump, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? I was like, what's going on? I felt like I was doing something wrong. And it was mainly, I think what was going on is, one, I was really, really going into keto because I was having like 0 carbs, except for some dark chocolate, which is very, very little carbs. And then, but also I felt like my body was like detoxing a lot and trying to expel a lot of toxins out of my system because I had the runs a little bit. And so, today I even felt so I took a nap yesterday. Today I fought the nap because I had to get this presentation done, but I still felt low energy. So I'm excited to I think this is kind of like the keto flu. I didn't feel sick, but this is like get into ketosis. I'm like trying to get there and go there and run with it. And I'm excited to have like full blown energy. So, alrighty. I'm going to share my screen with you guys, and we're going to check out this presentation. All right. So as we go through this presentation, one is obviously this is being recorded. 2, you don't have to write everything down. If you want to write down any questions, write down anything else that you might want to hold on to or look back into, I should say, or look up on the internet, then please do. But I will be providing a little roadmap, the bulletproof roadmap that I was talking about last week. And with that, it'll kind of have everything not in detail that I'm going over today, most things, okay? So today we're going to talk about the secret killer. What you don't know will kill you. Yes, it will. So what is that? Inflammation. All right, so Time Magazine came out, the secret killer, and linked inflammation to heart attacks, cancers, Alzheimer's, all this stuff. Together, though, those diseases, heart disease, cancers, diabetes, account for 70% of all deaths in the US. It's a lot. What do all those have in common? They're all linked back to inflammation, okay? Inflammation is also linked to many autoimmune diseases and mental health issues. The entire, what I feel like is the goal and the gold standard for any diet is a low inflammatory diet. And that's why one thing I love keto, but we can clean keto up a little bit. All right. So we're going to be going into the other side of the keto. We looked at how beneficial the fats were. Now we're going to be looking at and kind of picking at the things that could be detrimental. And these things are detrimental in any diet. So you look at Atkins diet. Oh, what's the difference between Atkins and keto diet? It's like the quality of fats that we're really looking at in keto that Atkins doesn't watch. Also, you can look at any other diet and it's like, man, these diets have these yo-yo diets is what they're called because people aren't watching how it's causing so much inflammation. You can eat all the chicken and high protein diet you want, but that's all causing inflammation. You can go high carb, but what carbs are you eating specifically that are causing inflammation? You can go high fat, but you can be eating a lot of stuff with the high fat that's causing inflammation. So inflammation is the key driver behind if it's going to work or if it's going to not work for you. So if you didn't know this, 5% of every plant is made up of chemicals to kill you. Every plant. So plants have proteins to ward off predators to ensure their survival of the fittest, right? These proteins are called lectins. Gluten is a lectin. It's one of thousands of lectins, okay? It's a protein that irritates the gut lining. Phthalates and oxalates, which oxalates are big in kale. They bind to minerals so you can't absorb them. This is how Roundup works. Roundup kills other weeds, right? Specifically because it binds to the specific minerals that weeds typically need to grow. And thus, the weed gets starved out. Mold toxins. Mold toxins are very prevalent in coffee, which Rosie, I did buying your coffee tomorrow. Is very prevalent in wheat, prevalent in corn, and most grains. So this is stuff we're going to watch out for. We're going to go over. Just stick with me. It might be super boring, but this is going to be probably, if you pay attention, the most powerful thing that you can implement with your keto program. Other thing we're going to be talking about, MSG, monosodium glutamate. When I say, oh, watch out for this, it contains MSG. I want you to know what MSG is, okay? MSG is an excitatory neurotransmitter that overstimulates the cell, specifically your brain cell, to the point of cell death, okay? Your neurons stimulate so much, they fire, and they die, all right? Your liver kicks right into detoxing the toxin. It demands for your body to have more energy. You feel fatigued because it's pulling from your energy sources. In turn, you can experience like headaches, mood swings, and a craving for sweets because your body needs more energy to detox this thing. It literally, when I get hit with this, I want to go take a nap. And I'm going to show you ways to avoid it and how to handle it if you ever get some of your food. GMOs, genetically modified organisms. What are they? Genes that have been altered in the plant, and that alteration has been that can be affecting you, okay? So it's specific genes being altered to make it brighter, or to make it so that it is not affected by Roundup, and so that the Roundup will kill organisms, but not a GMO organism. It'll kill weeds, but not GMO plants, because they're different. They grow differently. Everything's different about them. So it's like a foreign object. Why do we want this foreign object in our body? All right. So since we've been eating GMO, which was 3 decades ago, and they kind of came out with all these GMO seeds, we've experienced 400% increase in allergies, 300% increase in asthma, 400% increase in ADHD, 1,500% increase in autism. Now, is that correlation or causation? We're not sure. Well, there's not enough research out there. There's not enough big companies like Monsanto that will even fund any research so that we can come to grips on what these GMOs are actually doing to us. But it's correlation. It's kind of like throwing it out there saying, this is interesting. And most all, actually, I don't know of any crop that is GMO that's not heavily sprayed with Roundup. And Roundup has a toxin in it called glyphosate that is probably one of the worst toxins you can put in your body. Destroys so many processes. It's terrible for you. Now, what I go by is, when I go to the grocery store, I used to just say, all right, I'm only going to buy like the Dirty Dozen organic. And I'll post this into the Telegram page so you can have this. You can easily just say, just type in.
I took a screenshot of it. Sorry.
Go for it. Yeah, definitely. I'll post this in Telegram as well for you. But you can easily just Google Dirty Dozen and it should pull up, this photo. So I used to only buy organic, these top 12 right here. Strawberries, have to buy organic, celery, peaches, even grapes. Now, when you think of grapes, also necessary to even get organic wine, because these are heavily processed with Roundup. Now I buy most everything organic, but I will buy this stuff non-organic. I'll buy avocados non-organic. I actually buy onions organic, just because there's not much of a price difference there, and I just don't want the modification. But some of these things I will not buy organic. So you have options there. And thank you, EWG, for putting this out there. All right. So what I want to dive into is like the idea of inflammation, okay? Everyone you see is dying by way of 1,000 cuts. And then I want you guys personally, I want to equip you guys personally so that you can take back your power and live a bulletproof lifestyle. This 1,000 cuts, we don't recognize. When I go to my in-laws' house and I see that they're eating margarine, I'm like, oh, like why margarine? Like if you had butter, I think it tastes better and it's so much better for you. And it's like they always play it off like, I'm fine, I'm still living, I have no issues, everything's fine. Like there's nothing wrong, they're just fine. Because when as human beings, we're terrible at correlating. I eat this, and then a month from now, I start feeling worse, or my energy from a year ago is less, or 10 years ago, I didn't have joint pain. And it's the death by 1,000 cuts. It's a little cut here, a little cut there, and by the time we're 70 years old, we have Alzheimer's, diabetes, heart disease, and something's going to kill us because we never took time to stop cutting ourselves along the way. So let's dive in. So if you are Superman, then this is your list of kryptonites. All right? Here's your kryptonites. Vegetables, kryptonites, pea and pea proteins, full of lectins. What I'd say lectins were, think of lectins like gluten, okay? Irritate your gut. When you irritate your gut, it separates, your gut separates toxins, foods, proteins, foreign objects gets in there. It can cause autoimmune diseases, causes inflammation, massive amounts of inflammation. So we don't want gluten, lectins, this stuff in our body. And so essentially, if you distill peas down to just the pea protein, what's lectin? Lectin is the protein of that vegetable. So pea protein is essentially straight dose of lectins, which I wish I could help a lot of vegetarians out there because they think pea protein is the bomb. But they don't know what they're doing to the gut. And 5 years from now, they're going to find out pretty terribly. All canned vegetables. Just stay away from all canned vegetables. Typically, most of them are contaminated with BPA. They're usually high in histamines because they've been like flash heated to preserve them. They're exposed to high heats, damaging good nutrients. And frozen veggies are far superior. If you're gonna need veggies for like the long run, just buy some frozen veggies. They're packed when they're picked when they're fresh, and they aren't tampered with. They don't have any BPA. BPA is terrible for you. That might be something if you want to look up. I don't have that in here in my slides. How is BPA terrible for you? Google it. Fats. If this is anything, all right, as I go through this, take one thing. I'm going through a lot of lists here, but take one thing, say, oh, I have that. I'll take one thing out this week. Next week, I'll take one thing out next week, okay? Do this in doses. Do this because I don't want to just wreck your house and wreck your lives and be like, oh my gosh, I can't eat anything. But fats, if you can do one thing, fats will probably be the best bang for your buck to start getting rid of these kryptonites right here. Safflower oil and sunflower oil. Straight omega-6s. Omega-6 is inflammatory. Omega-3s are anti-inflammatory. The typical American is 40 times more omega-6s than omega-3s. You should be like 4 times. The typical American is 10 times more than that. All right. Commercial lard. Whoops, go back. Commercial lard, terrible for you because they're fed all the cows that they use for the lard or whatever animal they use. It's pretty low quality. They're feeding it soy, grains, all this junk food, and it's just and all that toxins and stuff that they're eating. Where does it get stored? Where do your toxins get stored? It gets stored in your fat. So you can only imagine the toxins and the crap that's in commercial lard. Canola oil, when I think of canola, I think of the devil. So canola oil is the worst thing, one of the worst things besides margarine you can put in your body. Corn, cottonseed, flax oil, peanut oil, soy oil, and any other vegetable oils, absolutely terrible for you. They are a straight dose of inflammation. Margarine, trans fats is pretty much the worst offender. And my parents, even though I've told them many times, my parents, my in-laws, many times, I'm like, why do you guys still have margarine? Do you know it does this and this and this? And I try not to be a broken record. I try and be nice about it. But I'm like, this is literally full of canola oil and everything else, and it's just trans fats. One of the worst offenders in decreasing brain function, damaging your health, and shortening your life. All right, meats, farm seafood. When you go to a restaurant, such a fancy restaurant, but if it's not wild, which even when it says wild, most of the time it's not wild, they just want to charge more for it. But farm seafood is very high in pesticides, high in toxins, heavy metals, parasites, pathogens. Literally, these fish are fed corn, which corn is terrible for you, but also it turns into a poison in the fish. Most of the fish, or some of the fish, I should say, die. And when they die, they actually grind them up and throw them back into the pond, into this tank for other fish to eat the poison, diseased fish. Soy. So typically soil is contaminated with mold toxins. Soy inhibits thyroid function. Soy contains phytoestrogens, which leads to hormone issues and possible cancer risks, because if you're high in a certain type of estrogen, it promotes rapid cellular growth, which is essentially cancer. And that's one of the markers we look at in functional medicine. Dairy, pasteurized milk, all right? Pasteurized milk is second to gluten as the most allergic substance. It's linked to autoimmune conditions. It's linked, it has synthetic hormones in it. Typically, it has antibiotics from the cow that now you're drinking and you're killing your gut biome. And like the terrible conditions that the cows are in, that they get the dairy from, like literally, you watch some documentaries on these dairy farms. They're fed chicken beaks, sawdust, and even garbage. Like literally, it's like expired junk food that's still in the wrapper. I didn't even know junk food could expire, but literally that's how old it is. They give it to the cows and they eat it, and that's the milk that they're producing from the food that they're eating. That's what you're drinking. Powdered milk, condensed milk, ice cream. Ice cream is probably the worst in this category because not only is it from crappy pasteurized milk, but it also is super high in sugars, which if you watched the webinar last week, you saw how terrible sugars are for you. And condensed milk, powdered milk is pretty much, like powdered milk, you're pretty much just oxidizing milk, and it's just definitely not good for you. Nuts. Stay away from peanuts. Very high in lectins, and it's typically contaminated with aflatoxin. Aflatoxin directly connected or correlated to liver cancer. Cashews. Cashews are very interesting. I see some good things about cashews, like they're not really a nut, it's really a root, and so like it doesn't have some of the nut issues. But then other people that I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I think cashews, I stay away from cashews because I can do something with something else. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Rosie just texted me and says something happened. Okay, I'm gonna text her back.
She might have hit the on-off volume on the top left corner.
All right, Rosie, we're gonna continue. Text me if you can jump back on. I just text you, okay? Okay. So she said she got back on. Perfect. All right, so guys, I know we're almost through this. I know it's long. Okay, she said she's trying to get back on. But all in all, just bear with me on this. So cashews are from the family of poison ivy, and they are very high in lectins, but they're more of a root than a nut. Rosie, you back on?
Yeah.
Whoop, whoop. Awesome. Perfect. Glad to have you back. We're going pretty much to starches. But also, I just want to make a comment about nuts. In general, nuts are easily contaminated with mold toxins and have higher levels of phytates. It's like paleo people love their nuts, but it's not the best snack choice. Limit your nuts. We'll probably eat a little handful of nuts maybe once a week. And it's typically almonds. So starches. Corn, the most contaminated crop in terms of mold. It has a protein called zein protein in corn that cross-reacts with gluten, and it causes a lot of damage in the gut. And corn is like, I think the last report I said is 98% of corn is GMO. So what is sprayed on it? All the GMO issues that come up with that. Wheat is probably literally the worst when it comes to GMO. Literally at the very end, before they harvest wheat, they soak the entire field with, I think they call it like 30% saturation. It's like pretty much a flood of Roundup. I'm thinking in my mind, I'm like, why would you even pay that much in Roundup to soak your entire field before the harvest? But apparently what it does is it breaks down the wheat, and right before it starts to break down too much, they harvest it all up really quickly, and they're able to get the wheat out of that grain, barley, whatever, a lot easier than if they didn't use Roundup. So literally that whole wheat that you're eating is just soaked in Roundup. So congratulations. Gluten is contains with gluten, which contributes to autoimmune conditions because it irritates the gut and opens up that gut. Things flow in, your body starts attacking itself. Terrible. Then the proteins in wheat turn into opioids. That's why people crave bread, because literally it turns into a drug. Spices and flavorings, right? Fermented soy. I used to get away from soy sauce, and I tried to find other ways because fermented soy, tamari, miso is very high in histamines. And then also fermented soy could cause thyroid problems just because of soy itself. It also can cause osteoporosis, hormone imbalance, and poor brain function. Artificial flavors. If you see something on the label that says artificial flavors, stay away from it. Artificial flavors are made from petrochemicals. Yes, like petroleum. Yeast. If you see a product that has yeast on it, yeast encourages candida. Have you ever met someone that had a candida issue? It's terrible. Contains high levels of toxins typically. And bakers and brewers yeast, I remember hearing one guy saying, he's like, it's the best thing since sliced bread. I have my brewer's yeast all the time. But then I'm looking at the studies and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is associated with heart disease. Is it really, I don't know if it's really that good for me. I'm like, everything looks like it's terrible. So stay away from yeast. Beverages, soy milk. There's soy again. I get soy. It's soy all day, guys. Soy, stay away from soy, okay? Soy, wheat, soy milk, even almond milk. I would choose coconut milk over almond milk just because they use crappy almonds that are typically contaminated with mold or something to make the milk. So it's not that great. Do coconut milk. You can water it down if it's too thick. But beer is probably the worst thing you can possibly put in your mouth besides margarine and canola oil. But beer has all the grains that they use in beer. You're getting all those mold toxins. Even think about if the wheat beers. Congratulations, you're drinking all that Roundup. Okay, from GMO grains sprayed with Roundup. And it's literally the most toxic beverage you can drink. That's why they call it a beer belly, because literally your body freaks out, and over time it just builds this fat around your abdomen to try and absorb all those crappy toxins that you're constantly drinking from beer. Soda and sports drinks. Come on, we're going into ketosis, but I have to put this in there just in case you ever go back off of ketosis, which I don't expect you to be on here forever, even though it's highly beneficial. But soda and sports drinks, stay away from them. They're super high in fructose corn syrup. They have artificial flavors and enhancers, artificial colorings. Everything about them is just bad. I think I met this girl when I was in college, and she's drinking a Gatorade. And I was like, you're an athlete? And she's like, no, I'm just trying to drink more healthy. And I'm back then when I was in college, I actually didn't know very much. And I was like, oh, it makes sense. Now I'm thinking about it. I'm like, I wish I could have told her, you're not doing anything different. Enjoy your Dr. Pepper. All right. So with ketosis, I'm like, do I even need to mention fruit? I don't like, we're not even eating fruit on ketosis, but for the future, here's what I think about fruit. Raisins, fruit leathers, and other dried fruit. They are most, like dried fruit is very high in calories, carbs, sugar, fructose, than regular fruit, okay? It's like enhanced and heightened when it comes to like sugar because they dry it. And I remember my mom always used to buying us like fruit leathers and like thinking that it was healthy. We had no idea what healthy was. And usually they come with preservatives and colorings because no one wants to eat crappy, ugly, dried up fruit. They want to eat something that looks pretty. Canned fruit, often treated with colorings, preservatives, and suspended in thick fructose syrup. Yummy. And again, the BPA issue. Jams, jellies, preserves, just pure sugar. Stay away from them. Okay. And absolutely, as we stay away from sugar, don't think that you can go to artificial sugars, okay? Aspartame, spoke about this last week, turns into formaldehyde. It can really cause some long-term damage. And I remember looking at this one company called Melaleuca, and I was like, oh, finally like a health company that I can buy some cleaning supplies and other things from, and fairly inexpensive and not have to spend a fortune. And a lot of things that they had sweetened was they had a lot of acylfame potassium, ACE K is what it's easily said. And sorry for all the jumbling. I literally feel like I have this brain fog because I must be going into ketosis really bad. Oh man. But ACE K can cause benign nodules on your thyroid. Just stay away from it. Saccharin, sweet and low. Saccharin is actually very interesting. Not only does saccharin and sucralose disrupt the gut bacteria and causes unknown significant risks that we think are associated with it, but science hasn't proved it yet. Saccharin is very interesting. Like the science can't really prove it yet because we see it go in the body and then they don't know where it goes, which is very disturbing to not know. Like everything is mapped out. Like when I took biochemistry, I'm like, holy cow, like how do they map all this stuff out? This is amazing. And when it comes to like mapping out what saccharin does, it's like, ooh, that can't be good. Where is it being deposited over time that's going to cause something? It's not being peed out. It's not being pooped out. Where is it going? So this is what you can do. If you go to a restaurant and you don't know exactly what you're getting, you can't be perfect. When I go to a restaurant, I want to avoid the kryptonites, but I'm like, I don't expect perfection.
Yeah. And right? I don't know why.
Rosie, were you going to say something there?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I just said I get kicked out again, and I got kicked out again, and I don't know why.
Oh, no. What the heck? Tell Patrick, stop playing so many video games or something, kicking you off the Wi-Fi. Just kidding. So
he's not.
You can use coconut charcoal. If you're going to like a restaurant, you can use coconut charcoal to bind. They use activated charcoal, which coconut charcoal is just highly refined activated charcoal. It has a smaller molecule, binds to more things. So literally when you go to a hospital for poisoning, they'll pump you with coconut charcoal because it binds to all the toxins. So whenever you go out to eat and you don't know what they're putting in your food, if they're going to sprinkle some seasoning on it that you don't know about that has MSG in it, take some coconut charcoal before you eat the food. So it binds to toxins when you can't control what's in your food. Then this is what I had today because I'm like, holy crap, I feel like I'm detoxing. I'm super low energy. And after I had some glutathione, I felt better. Glutathione is the master antioxidant in the human body. It is 1,000 times more powerful than the same amount of antioxidants. If you took one molecule of glutathione, one molecule of antioxidant, then you're looking at 1,000-fold increase in what glutathione can do. The hard thing is that glutathione doesn't easily get into your system, and it has to be transported by way of fat. That's why this bulletproof is liposomal glutathione. Very, very powerful. Another way you can up your glutathione, because stress and all the toxins that you're constantly putting in your body, your glutathione is always having to do work on, is you can take some whey protein. Whey protein helps your liver make glutathione along with NAC. And I'll get into nutrition next week. It's going to be my favorite part of the webinar because I love nutrition. But that's glutathione. Highly recommend it. All right, let's get into the fun stuff. How to track your blood glucose. But before I do that, I just want to go back and kind of recap everything that I just talked about with you guys. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second and start sharing another screen. I'm going to post this in the Telegram chat. And I don't know if people aren't getting, I don't know how to pin messages and like keep it there in the Telegram chat. So maybe I'll just email it to everyone too, because I want everyone to have this. I went on Bulletproof. I'll provide the link as well. And I'm going to write this down so I don't forget, because I have the keto brain right now. BP roadmap. I have this on my refrigerator, and this is one of my favorite resources. So literally what I just went over: soy milk, packaged juice, aspartame, sports drinks. Now you know why it says the most toxic. Can you guys see that? Thumbs up. I can see your, okay, cool. All right. And then, so like pasteurized milk, and then it goes all the way up to like their best beverages, Bulletproof coffee beans, of course. We can get into that later. But if you guys have questions on it, you can always ask me. But all the way across: canned veggies, soy, margarine, GMO grains. I went through pretty much all of these and so you understand why they are terrible for you and why they're kryptonite to your superhuman body, okay? This one, cooking, just to touch on it, yes, if you burn, blacken, char, or deep fry. So burnt, blackened, charred meat is literally all that black stuff. When you eat it, it turns into a component called AGEs, advanced glycation end products. It binds to your collagen, binds to tissues, and it makes them like inactive. Think about it this way. When you eat burnt things like this, when it's charred, those AGEs go to your face, binds to collagen, and creates wrinkles. All right? So if you want to be less of a old prune when you're older, I don't plan on ever being the old prune. I plan on being vibrant and full of collagen and never having a wrinkle. And with my wife, I'm planning on having that. I'm lucky, but it's not the sun. It's definitely not the sun that's causing that. It's the freaking AGEs that you're constantly eating all the time. Okay? So just a little food for thought for you guys. All right? So perfect. Let's get back into this bad boy. All right? I'm going to turn up my screen brightness. I'm going to take off this red on my screen, and you guys can unmute yourselves if you want to. Can you guys see that? Wow. See how bright it is? Man. So this is why I put red on my screen, because I just don't want the blue light. But, all right. Rosie, I gave you yours. Do you have yours? Okay. Go get it. We're going to test you right now. All right? I'm going to show you how to work this thing. I literally, this is like the little finger pricker pen. And I had to prick myself twice. I put myself on like medium, which is 3, and I like pricked, and it didn't even do anything. And I'm like, dang it, that kind of hurt too. And then so I went to 5, and I was like, it literally took me 2 minutes. I was like, closed my eyes, did it, and it actually kind of hurt. And I got the smallest little dot of blood, and I was like trying to push blood out. And I guess my platelets are so freaking good because that thing sealed up like it was no tomorrow. And I tried to test my blood, and it was like, the meter said, not enough blood. And I was like, I'm not going to prick myself again. I'm going to wait until the webinar. I don't want to, I'll show everybody here in a second. But, what, did Rosie jump off again?
Oh, I don't know. She's having a hard time staying on.
All right. Well, I'm going to record this, and then we're going to see if what Rosie's numbers are. But I just put a lancet in here. Here's my finger. I use the side of my finger. I'm going to use like the pad of my finger. Hopefully I'll get enough blood. But what you do, guys, I hit M, I turned it on, and it says, all right, put your little stick in there. So I take this stick, and the top side, which is like has a little metal piece on it, looks like a little I don't know, chip. Put that chip into the device, and now it's ready. So all right, so now I'm going to prick myself. Oh, there we go. Come on, pat of the finger works a little bit better. All right. So, blood, here you go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. What's my blood glucose readings? 83. All right. So, I think 86 is like a good fasting. Where did I write down these numbers? And I'll put these numbers in Telegram. Sweet, 83. I'm gonna have to test my wife right now. So, glucose. So that's milligrams per deciliter. So, yeah, 86 is a good thumbs up fasting glucose, and I'm at 83. I hear lower the better though, so we'll see. I'm going to keep testing myself. I'm going to test myself morning, after lunch, and at nighttime. That might be excessive for you guys. I know my wife is just going to do morning and night because she's gone all day, and I have the meter. So I think morning and night would be definitely easy, and to test what you're waking. When you wake up and you've been fasting for 7 hours, or how long you've been sleeping, or technically since you were done with dinner. So hopefully it's like 10 hours. And then test what your blood glucose is at that point. And then after all your meals throughout the day, test what your blood glucose is at the end of your day after dinner. And record the times, because, well, I don't know if you can see that. There you go. Record them in chronometer, or if you're not doing chronometer, just record it somehow, right? Because then we can see like what your day looked like, what you started, how you ended, what you were eating that day, and you can kind of go get a base point of, all right, I need to cut out this. Like maybe Megan cut out carrots. Yeah. Oh man. Also, like, this brings up perfect, because if you have a high reading at night, that means you had sugar or something that was dumping into your bloodstream that was sugar, or maybe you had less insulin, or there's other reasons to it. But it could have been that you had something that had secretly snuck in sugar. Megan, what have you found out that was like, that you found things that are like, you know what, I had no idea that this had sugar in it, and this kicked me out of ketosis. Have you found anything like that you're like, wow, stay away from this?
Actually, you mentioned, hold on a second. Go ahead, and I'll be there in a second. I found that carrots actually kick me out just because they're more filled with carbs. They have a higher carb content. I don't know. I'm usually pretty good about eating well, but yeah, it's nothing comes to mind off the top of my head. But,
For sure. I would definitely, if you find something, like post it. Like I did give my kids sweet potato fries, and I gave them some ketchup, and I was like, how much sugar is really in ketchup? And I'm like, looking at it, I'm like, holy crap, there's a lot of sugar in ketchup.
Yeah.
What's a good alternative to ketchup?
Well, I've actually found, and I'll post it, because syrup is a big thing. And go in there. Is a big thing in the house, because they like, waffles and pancakes and things like that. And I found a really good keto pancake, actually recipe that I'll share. But syrup is a hard one because they want to use some, and then ketchup is a hard one because it's ketchup.
I know.
But I actually found a healthier version ketchup that I'll share too on the Telegram. That has less sugar, less of, I don't even know what the sugar content is, but it's way less than normal, and it's more of like a whole food ketchup versus like the crap that you would buy with high fructose corn syrup and all that stuff in it.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
Yeah.
You get that on the Thrive Market?
I didn't buy it on Thrive Market, but Thrive Market is a huge resource. I mean, they have such good stuff on there, and you can if you join, you get a discounted rate and things like that too, and free shipping and whatnot, and it's really cool. Yeah,
I know I used Thrive Market like a year ago, and I used it for a while, and then I stopped using it for I don't know why, and now I'm like, I need to jump back on that. My membership's already done, but I need to jump back on that. I know MSG, I wanted to talk about this. I know like we talk about hidden sugars, hidden MSG. Everyone thinks like, okay, I'm gonna eat my salad with salad dressing. Hidden salad dressing, hidden source of sugars, hidden source of MSG. Two terrible things for you, right? Also, just to touch on this, and I don't know how many people are watching to the end, but please listen to this. We talk about the gut lining opening up because of gluten, lectins, things like that. So toxins, proteins, other molecules get into your bloodstream. Your body attacks it, and then that triggers autoimmunity. The worst offender, worse than gluten, is painkillers, NSAIDs, okay? It's literally like taking a live grenade, swallowing that, and you're blowing holes, not just separating, you're blowing holes in your gut. And it's probably one of the worst things. And it is literally the gateway drug. The more NSAIDs you take, the bigger the holes get in your gut, the more proteins and toxins get into your system, the more inflammation and pain you have and other issues, and thus the need for other drugs, other things for whatever the case is. It's literally, you start with NSAIDs and it'll lead to something else. So fix the issue. Don't just take painkillers.
Peppermint oil.
Yeah, there you go. Do you use peppermint oil? Do you put it topically or do you actually take it orally?
Both.
Really?
You have to be really careful though. I'm more of the doTERRA believing girl. doTERRA is a little bit more expensive than a lot of other ones out there, but it's because it's sourced from where it actually grows naturally, and so they don't use any kind of pesticides or heating or anything like that. So it's cold pressed. It's all majority, unless it's a tree. The rule of thumb is if it's a tree, you don't ingest it. So peppermint, lavender, lemon, I mean, those are like the cocktail for inflammation and allergies, things like that. So we typically, if the boys are sick, if they have a belly ache, we're using that kind of stuff versus meds.
Heck
Yeah, like it's really good.
Yeah. That is awesome. That is awesome. Perfect. So, dang it, another thing on my notes that I wanted to share with you guys about all the grains is the difference between grass-fed cows and grain-fed cows. Literally, if you're eating a grass-fed cow, you're eating what that thing ate. You're eating what you ate, okay? So grass-fed cow, you're eating all the healthy nutrients of the grass that it ate. A grain-fed cow, you're eating the soy because soy fattens up the cows because it messes up their hormones and there's mold on the soy and stuff like that. And so what the cow does, it gets fat. So that's what farmers do. They fatten their cows with grains. And so when you eat these grain-fed cows, you're eating those grains that the cow ate. And then it's terrible for you. High in omega-6s, grass-fed cows, high in omega-3s. So that inflammation markers again. If you're going to eat a grain-fed cow at a restaurant because you love their steak, get the thinnest cut you can with the least amount of fat. If you get a grass-fed cow, get the fattiest cut you can because that fat is so beneficial for you. All right? That's something I wanted to mention when I was talking about grains, MSG. Anything else, Megan, that you wanted to touch on before we jump off this call?
No, I think you hit them all.
Sweet. Awesome. Guys, join us next week. Be on because I'm going to be going over nutrition. It's going to be the best webinar. This one was super long, but I had to go over these points on what to stay away from because literally it'll destroy the progress that you're making. But next week is going to be awesome fun. It's going to be about nutrition and you're going to love it. So be there or be square.
Be
All right,
there.
Megan. Thank you, Megan. Thank you, Rosie, for joining me. And you guys have a great rest of your night, okay?
Good night.
See ya.
Thanks, Trey.
Mm-hmm.
Bye.
Bye.